to circle back around here a minute because you mentioned something a moment ago that I think is incredibly important for us to specify and let our listeners hopefully learn from. You did Medicaid planning, and there's two things that I run up against all the time with my clients, and one of which is, one, they think Medicare is going to take care of long-term care for them, and then they say, well, then I'll just use Medicaid.
Okay.
Medicaid is difficult, even more difficult now to get qualified for because of the 5-year look back. And explain that a little bit, and also address the myth about Medicare.
Sure. Well, let me put that aside. May I put that aside just for a second?
Absolutely.
That's never discussed. Now, you got almost 30 years in this business, okay? Financial services business, one form or another, yeah?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And on occasion, when appropriate, you've recommended life insurance, disability income, and long-term care insurance to your clients. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Out of 10 couples that you've seen, out of 10, how many guys will tell you they don't need insurance, or they'll think about it, or they got enough, or it's too expensive, and what if they don't use it? Out of 10, who usually will tell you they don't need insurance?
Probably 9. I mean, the vast majority of men say that.
Exactly right. It's worse if they're in the military or first responders. So what I'd like to do is to take a look at why that's an issue. Now, what does this have to do with Medicare and Medicaid? When the client, particularly men, think that you're talking about a product, they don't think the event that the product's supposed to cover is going to happen. So if it's not going to happen, why are we talking about insurance? Oh, and by the way, if I do need care, which of course I won't, I'll just have what? Medicare, Medicaid pay for it. So we circle around to the objection. And the objection is caused by something no one has really explored, and that is the psychology of denial. What motivates guys who otherwise love their families and understand what would happen if they ever needed care over a period of years? They intellectually understand it, and Ray, in the military, they intellectually understand what would happen if they got killed in the line of duty. What would happen to their families? Fair statement?
Absolutely.
Yeah, watch what happens. They don't have a lot of insurance. And here's the reason why. We're not wired to even think about risk. Men are wired to do two things: go out and get food and make sure no one takes it from those they promise to take care of, their family. Risk is not in the equation. And when you talk about the risk of needing care and what the cost is, by the way, intellectually, no one's going to dispute that as you age, which we are, the risk of needing care increases and the cost increases. No one will argue that. But they'll also tell you, if someone's going to need care, who's that going to be, Ray? You and me.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, it's not me, it's you. In fact, between the two of us, Ray, you don't look that good right now.
Well, they say I got a face for radio.
Yeah, no, I saw your picture. It looks pretty good. You still have most of your hair, which aggravates me, by the way.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but so you had it photoshopped, huh? So anyway, the point. So when you see, men are not wired to deal with risk. It's not risky behavior to drive your motorcycle 120 miles an hour, 110 miles an hour on the freeway. It's not risky behavior. They just think it's fun. See, you were trained in the military. Your job is to go and get the mission done. If you believe there's any risk of dying during that mission, either you won't go or someone else will get killed. I'm very serious about it. And so men believe that if something awful will happen, it'll be to someone else. So when you look at the risk and cost of care, it doesn't register with men, unless, of course, they're what, Ray? They're sick. Exactly. Now they'll see the consequences, or they took care of someone, or they saw someone they care deeply about die unexpectedly during working years. Women, on the other hand, and I'm going to speak for your wife, as I think for all women, women are wired very, very differently. Women live in a world of consequences. See, they're wired to provide care. They understand what happens if there's no food, if they can't support their family. They understand what happens if they can't provide the proper care to their children. So when you take a look at the subject of long-term care, in talking to men, perhaps the better approach is to say something they don't expect, such as, this is not a discussion about what's going to happen to you, because they don't think something will happen to them. But maybe take a look at this. It's a discussion of what's going to happen to people. Here we go, Ray, that you invited into your life, and you said you take a bullet for. You said you take responsibility for. That men will listen to.